All right. Welcome, everybody. I am Brian Hirsch, your host of Behind the Masterpiece. And with me today is Iain Webb, the director of the Sarasota Ballet. And I'm lucky to be the CEO of the Arts and Cultural Alliance of Sarasota County. Iain, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you. This is great.
It is great. And you know what also is really great? I haven't seen you for a little while, but the last time I did see you, we were in London. And I was seeing you right in intermission, in between performances, in between sets of the Sarasota Ballet, participating in the Ashton Festival at the Royal Opera House. Iain, what was that like? And have you come down from this cloud?
So I always try to keep my feet firmly on the ground, but it was amazing. I mean, everybody here in Sarasota should be so proud of the dancers. They really flew the flag of Sarasota really high. The standard was incredible. The response, I couldn't have asked for anything more. Pressure, like I've never been under this much pressure in my life, because that was my home. So both for Margaret, my wife, and I, the Royal Ballet, the Royal Opera House, Covent Garden, that was our home. And Sir Frederick Ashton is one of the greatest choreographers of the 20th century, found a choreography of the Royal Ballet, and here we are, accompanying from America, from Florida, taking Ashton back to London. So a little bit of pressure.
A little bit of pressure, well delivered. So I got to meet with some journalists and so forth while we were there. And, you know, Iain, the British invasion happened in America, a long time ago with the Beatles and Rolling Stones. And if you look modern, I love Arctic Monkeys and Radiohead and all kinds of things. So I thought only appropriate for an American company to bring something like Ashton back to London. Only appropriate. How is Ashton so crucial to the Sarasota Ballet's aesthetic and identity?
So basically, although we do probably one of the widest ranges of repertoires and different styles than probably up there most companies in America, it's the work of Sir Frederick Ashton, it's the work of Sir Fred that has put the company on the map. So, and it was one of those things was when I took over, it wasn't my intention to do this. I was so fortunate to work with him one-on-one in the studio, to have quite a, sort of go to receptions and sit with him and have quite a nice, few gin and tonics or whatever they were. But I just adored him. He was such an amazing man, so funny, kind and stuff, but a genius. I mean, like an absolute genius. So what I wanted to do originally was when I took over was look at it and go, well, okay, two of the greatest choreographers, Sir Fred, from where I am, and here in America, George Balanchine. So I opened the program with an Ashton and a Balanchine, and it was just the fact of that we were able to get into the studio and try and pull together the dancers to try and have some formality and some sort of like identity that we found we were able to pass that on and really start to mold them using that as a basis. And that then it grew from there. Then people kept questioning, well, first of all, they kept questioning, about how come we're doing such a great person's work. But my biggest bugbear, I think, was the fact that everyone would turn around and go, oh, Saratoga. I went, no, Sarasota. And then they're going like, well, why is Ashton being done there? And I went, well, why not? And of course, Saratoga is the second home of New York City Ballet. So, but now people are getting that wrong. Now they keep talking when it's referring to them. They go, oh, in Sarasota, and they're going, no, Saratoga. So we've kind of flipped it. So that's the English side of me that I love doing stuff like that, sort of. But we literally, I'm so lucky to be here in this amazing city with everyone respecting and being so invested in the arts. But it does give me great pride when I can take the company on the road, as it were. So, the Kennedy Center, we've been there twice. In New York, the Joyce Theatre, we've been there for week-long residences 3 times. City Center, Jacob's Pillow, Salt Lake City. So we've taken the ballet, and when you take the ballet anywhere, we take the city and we take everything about it. Again, I'm rambling on a little bit, but I have to tell you something that's just come. My brain jumps all over. But
Please.
We got a phone call the other day asking about what the casting was going to be for our March program of Romeo and Juliet from people in London who saw us and are now wanting to get tickets and fly out to Sarasota to see the company do Romeo and Juliet because they saw the pas de deux in London. Now they want to see the whole thing. So it's cool, isn't it? It's sort of like,
so
we're
cool.
We're flying the flag, and we it's really important that we respect the city and everybody here, and because we're so fortunate to be.
Love it. You are representing Sarasota well, Sarasota Ballet, putting Sarasota on the map. Incredible, and I think really representing that Sarasota has world-class arts and culture. It's quite incredible. We'll talk more about the season coming up. I actually can't wait to see Romeo and Juliet. Love it. So you'll tell us more about that in a minute. But let's do some origin stories, because ballet has a lot of different points of entry. And if I recall, your point of entry might have been a little bit later in life than some who start ballet. So when did you come to ballet? How did you get hooked? What drew you to it?
So I'm from a very small town in the north of England, in Yorkshire, called Scarborough. I guess the claim to fame for Scarborough is that the famous actor Charles Laughton was born there, and that his whole family, and obviously just down the road, the Brontes. So there's a lot of all this. But Scarborough itself, my mother had a school, and she had one boy who was doing ballet, but he would not go on stage unless there was somebody else. So she said, look, if she gave me a little bit of pocket money, would I do something? And as long as it had nothing to do with ballet, there was no tights, there was no sort of any of that nonsense, I would do it. So I think it was like I was Fagin out of Oliver or something like that. And then I was there waiting to do this in the studio. And a lady, a friend of my mother's, who was an examiner, an RAD examiner, popped in just to see her and say hello. And, at the end of this period of time, this lady said, so, did you watch your son? And she said, oh, yeah, it's really annoying, because I was just at the back messing around and taking the mickey out of everybody, really. And she said, I think he's got some real talent. I think, you should be looking at him. And so then they went to see my father to see if they were all right if they approached me to see if I wanted to do ballet. And he said yes, and then was horrified when I agreed, because he wanted me to play football.
Of course.
So basically, he was really shocked. I mean, amazing man. He very working class. He had eventually 4 jobs in order to keep me so that I could do ballet and my brother and sister wouldn't lose out, as it were. Supported me like that, but in the whole of his lifetime, never acknowledged to any of his friends what I did. He'd come and see a show of Coppelia, and he'd go and watch my wife, and she was dancing with a guy called David Ashmole. Thought he was great. The next night I'd do exactly the same. And it'd be, okay, son, I'll see you soon, bye. No comment. He just couldn't adjust to it, which kind of, in a way, I respected, but it's that thing that I have now. It's like, you've got to look at the bigger picture. There is something for everybody. Let's face it. I had, this will annoy Brian, so it's for everybody else, really. We like annoying Brian.
Sure.
So, I had a friend of mine. He was probably the hardest man in football, or soccer, as you could say.
Soccer in America, sure.
So he's called Lee Dixon. He was like Arsenal, big, strong guy. I got to know him really well, super smashing guy. And I was like, at one point, I went, you kind of run around, maybe on a Saturday kicking a ball, you do a little bit of training, maybe midweek you've got a little show. Look at the output, at physical output. Forget the dollars, forget the pounds that he earns, but just the physical side of it. And he used to come in and watch stuff, and he'd go, I don't know how you guys do it. I don't need, because we train and we push the bodies to such extreme. So, yeah, I mean, obviously he plays for one of the best teams in London, but there we go.
Fair enough. So, Iain, I love the story. Thanks for sharing. You were listening to Iain Webb, director of Sarasota Ballet. And Iain, let's talk about these other points of entry. So for those who are less familiar or maybe even intimidated by ballet, I think you just hit on something there. There is a great athleticism and strength that it takes to dance every single day, day in and day out. But at the same time, what is it for someone who's maybe never been to a ballet? What should someone look for? What should keep them inspired to or encouraged to come check out a Sarasota Ballet performance this season?
I mean, I think that they should come in there with a blank canvas, none of the preconceived ideas or whatever it is, because and with our company, what I've done is, in order to make it to where it is today, is I've done a lot of what we call triple bills, so 3 different ballets. So it's not maybe a full-length Swan Lake, which everybody goes, and these are 3 different works, because then I'm able to give everybody something they'll go away with. A bit like a 3-course meal. So it could be sort of like a very nice opening piece, something very theatrical or a big, heavy storyline, and something really sort of you go out feeling good at the end of the show. But within the context, the music elements are vitally important, the designs, the style of choreography and the dancers. So we have such a mixture that, to be honest, if you don't particularly like what you're seeing, you could close your eyes and get lost in your own world in what the orchestra is playing. Or look at the design elements and think how this is like works of art. So, as far as the visual arts go, the ballet can give something to everybody. And just come in, just look at the sheer beauty, the sheer strength. I mean, if you think about it, you look at the how high we jump, and we're not athletes, but our bodies are trained to that fine tune. So when we're jumping higher probably than Michael Jordan. We're sort of like moving faster than some of the athletes in the Olympics and things, but our bodies are like that. But we train literally every day, 6 days a week. But then you've also got to then be able to produce the theatrical. So really, for me, being from that, working class background, it's a brilliant art form. It's really come and see it, open mind and see, and just also appreciate everything. And this could be the stepway into, wow, that piece of music was good. We're going to see the orchestra. That was a real theatrical piece, but they didn't speak. Oh, let me go and see the Oslo Rep and see what. So we can bring all that together, and that's what I kind of like try to always bring in within a season. Some of those great points. Push the audience as well, make them a little bit uncomfortable, and the same with the dancers, push them out of the boundaries. Yeah.
I love it. I tell people all the time, arts challenges us and comforts us. So, how do we have that combination? How do we find something we like, but also push us? And I love what you're talking about, the mixed medium. And I know personally from conversations we've had over the past, how you emphasize the dramatic presentation, the affect that the dancers have to make sure that it's not just the choreography, but how do you make it come to life? And paired with, in many cases, you have live music where you might partner with the Sarasota Orchestra. This is a tremendous experience. So let's talk about the season, as you foreshadowed a little bit, from resident choreographers to Romeo and Juliet. What's coming up this season that our audiences should know about, Iain?
Yes, I love programming because there's no written book about it. So a lot of it is just sort of like how we can, give those sort of interest to people to come into the theatre. So, but it's very important for the dancers not to just, like with Sir Fred's work, going to Covent Garden, to the Royal Ballet to take us there. is quite something. So it's classical. So we have, Romeo and Juliet by Sir Frederick Ashton. But we've brought in this year, I've got 3 world premieres. So we're starting off with an amazing lady called Jessica Lang, not to get confused with the actress, who was a great choreographer, one of the most sought-after choreographers of today. She's our resident artist. She is going to be doing, in October, a world premiere. We've then got, in actual fact, right now, while I'm talking to you guys, we have Sir David Bintley in the studio creating a piece called The Spider's Feast, which is going to be a world premiere in December. And then January, a really interesting young lady, Gemma Bond, who's making, again, another world premiere. So 3 world premieres. Again, because of our history and everything, a full length of one of the greatest romantic ballets. Giselle is in November. And again, as I said, Romeo and Juliet, March. But again, also works by Paul Taylor, which is an amazing American icon. We're bringing a ballet called Brandenburg's back into the company. We did it before, but we were, again, the first company in the world to do it other than his own company. And Brandenburg, the everything about it is tremendous. So there's such a variety of styles and things. And again, I said about how we work so hard. So if you imagine we open in October and we finish in April, 6 programs, 2 full lengths, but the rest are triple bills. The dancers are pushing their bodies the whole time. So in end of February, beginning of March, we're bringing one of the great genius of today, Mark Morris, and his company down to perform here. So I put this whole season and was quite thrilled about it. I thought, this is a really good season. Announced it, and then I heard that one of the greatest icons in modern dance, in American dance, worldwide, is Martha Graham. And it's 100 years since Martha Graham founded her company. So I've done a quick add-on. So at the beginning of October, we're bringing Martha Graham Dance Company down. So above anything else, to pay respect to her legacy, but also worldwide, everybody's acknowledging her, that Sarasota has to be part of that celebration. We cannot just go, oh, that's very nice. We have to make sure that we give everybody here the opportunity to join us in celebrating the grand dame grandmother of modern dance in America. So that's an extra program that I'm adding on. So it's really exciting, the whole season. So
It's an amazing scene. I'm talking to Iain Webb, the director of Sarasota Ballet. And by the way, for more information, you can always go to sarasotaballet.org to get information on their season. I know I want to go to every single performance when you just run through those. It's absolutely incredible. I'm Brian Hirsch, your host, and I'm going to be CEO for the Arts and Culture Alliance. Sarasota Ballet has amazing work ahead. I have 2 final questions. One, I'll give you a final question about predictions of the Premier League table, of course, as you and I know we would. But before that, I'm really curious how, when you talk about those diversity in artists and styles, how do the dancers and how do you think of the development and the training for the diverse repertoire that you have? There's a different aesthetic and take on every single one of those choreographers you just talked about. How do the dancers continue to train and prepare for that diversity of repertoire?
Well, I mean, it's a really good question. And, I had an amazing time dancing as a career. I'm so glad I'm so old now that my body would never be able to do what these dancers today. My brain could not take what they take on. They are incredible. There's something about a dancer, but today they have to do it all. They have to do everything. So that's what also is a challenge for them, and they really rise to it. So with that, when I look at it, and sometimes I get a bit sort of down about it, is when I audition for dancers for the company, we have anywhere from 400 to 600 people wanting to come and audition because of the repertoire. But then you've also got to look at it is when we're doing this, we've got such a unique company that then over the last, certainly the last few years, we've now got the most amazing school that's attached to the company. We have a trainee program and we have a studio company. So we're getting families that are moving here to train with us with the dream of joining the company. So again, the sort of like the energy, the commitment, it's a really good feel. And as I say, when I look at some of these young dancers who are so talented, you want to do everything for them. But I looked at it and I went, all these different schools that go around and things, but this is this is part of the company. So I've just been watching now our trainees and studio company mixed in with the company doing a rehearsal of George Balanchine's Serenade. So they're getting the chance to be in it. And as I said, without repeating myself, Sir David Bintley, the legendary Sir David Bintley here now, and he's making this world premiere, and we've got some of the students in the studio that he's creating on. I mean, it's an energy of real beyond belief of what we do here, and so and you see those young students, and they go up and acknowledge him at the end and thank him, and you go like, this is history. This is a gift that they're going to live on, and it's being produced in Sarasota. So, I can't say, it's really corny, the director's saying things are so good here, but they are. It's been a long, hard slog to get here, but the foundation's so strong, and I love the fact that we've now got such a really strong education. And again, within that, we've got, the Dance the Next Generation, where we bring these young kids in and they just learn to work together. We make sure they get healthy snacks, and it's all scholarshiped, and it's all to bring them to learn for the future and also learn what's going on as well in Sarasota. So it's non-stop. It's about over 200 children come through the doors every week. And this is Sarasota Ballet, and this is what it's about. The passion, the love, and giving back is really important.
It's amazing. Sarasota Ballet, putting Sarasota County on the map. That's Iain Webb, director of Sarasota Ballet. You can always go to sarasotaballet.org. You can also go to sarasotaarts.org for a comprehensive arts calendar. You're listening to Behind the Masterpiece. We're going to do an overtime question with our great friend here, Iain Webb. As Iain and I, he calls it football. I might call it soccer. Iain, who's going to finish higher on the Premier League table this year? Manchester United or Tottenham Hotspur?
I mean, come on. You can dream, Brian. I don't want to take it away from you. It's this little, London town, what they call Spurs or something like that. Is that what they're called nowadays?
I've heard that, yeah.
Actually, they had a great manager, Bill Nicholson, I think he was called, and he was from Scarborough.
Well, get out.
But yeah, of course, we sometimes, when you're in a state like, Manchester United, sometimes it's really good that you can encourage these sort of like smaller, so you can try to give them a little break, So we try to help you out, Brian, as much as we can.
Charity case indeed for Tottenham Hotspur. Iain, thank you so much for being on Behind the Masterpiece. Everyone go out there and check out the Sarasota Ballet, sarasotaballet.org. Thanks for tuning in to Behind the Masterpiece. Thanks for listening to this episode of Behind the Masterpiece, brought to you by Visit Sarasota County. For more and to hear this podcast, go to visitsarasota.com.